Hello and welcome to Arirang News on this Monday, October 31st. I'm Handan in Seoul. Choi Soon-sil, a longtime friend of President Park Geun-hye, who's accused of wielding undue power over state affairs, embezzlement, tax evasion, and much more, is expected to appear for questioning in just about an hour. We begin today by taking a look at the charges she faces and what type of punishment could follow. Lee Min-young reports.
Choi Soon-sil, a confidant of President Park Geun-hye and the woman at the center of a growing abuse of power scandal, will appear at the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office at 3 p.m. Monday for questioning. Choi's attorney is expected to hold a press conference afterward at 4 p.m. Choi returned to Korea on Sunday at 7:30 a.m. from London after nearly 2 months in Germany. Prosecutors' decision not to detain her upon arrival drew widespread public criticism over the weekend and has raised questions about whether the gap has given Choi time to destroy evidence. Choi, who did not have an official government position, is suspected of having interfered in state affairs based on her long friendship with the president and access to classified presidential office documents. Prosecutors will also grill Choi on the allegation that she used her connections to the president to solicit and embezzle a massive amount of corporate donations for 2 government-linked foundations. Choi will also likely face questions about the allegation that she used her connections to garner preferential treatment for her daughter, Chung Yura, when she was admitted to Ewha Women's University. Chung, who was with Choi in Germany, did not return to Korea with her mother. Legal experts say that if Choi is found guilty, she could be facing serious penalties.
If Choi had access to classified documents from Cheongwade, including presidential speeches, it could be against the Presidential Record Management Act, and she could face up to 7 years in prison or roughly $17,000 in fines. She could also be facing charges of divulging state secrets.
Choi's return came a day after prosecutors raided the homes of presidential aides suspected of being involved in the scandal. Lee Min-young, Arirang News.
Korea is witnessing a political firestorm like no other, but the fight between the nation's ruling and opposition parties continues. The floor leader of the ruling Saenuri Party walked out on talks between the Assembly Speaker and the floor leaders of the 3 political parties, throwing parliamentary efforts to address the Choi Soon-sil scandal into doubt. Chung Jin-seok said his party has done all it can, including proposing the formation of a nonpartisan coalition cabinet that includes non-Saenuri politicians. He also lambasted the opposition parties for being uncooperative and accused them of trying to use the current crisis to make the president step down, a charge they refuted. The opposition parties countered by saying that the presidential office and the ruling party only made the proposal to cover up the political scandal. They also reiterated their demand that an independent counsel be appointed for the case and said President Park should be subject to investigation. On the economic front, the government has rolled out plans to help Korea's cash-strapped shipbuilding and shipping industries by injecting billions of dollars into the sector. The move comes on the back of the recent collapse of Hanjin Shipping that applied for court receivership at the end of August. Shin Se-min tells us more.
The Korean government says it's going to pump 11 trillion won, or $9.5 billion into the country's ailing shipbuilding and shipping industries by 2020.
As a short-term measure, the government will help local firms cope with falling global demand by getting them orders of more than 250 vessels by the end of the decade.
Such help could easily translate into a benefit worth several billion dollars. The government's drive calls for upgrading the competitiveness and the profitability of the industry as both sectors have been losing ground amid dwindling demand. Order quantities slumped 87% on year in the first 9 months this year, while weak international trade has crippled the global shipping industries, with one of the world's largest cargo carriers, Hanjin Shipping, filing for court receivership in August. The government said it'll also provide policy financing worth $5.6 billion to help shippers turn their focus to high value-added services and acquire new vessels to boost competitiveness. It also said the government will set up a separate state-backed ship financing company, starting with an initial capital of $871 million to better manage the financial health of Korean shipping firms. On the local economic front, the government will support regions with a concentration of shipbuilders with $1.4 billion by next year. It'll also infuse an additional $870 million over the next 5 years to create public works projects in the regions. The government says the measures are in line with the nation's ongoing state-led corporate restructuring and structural reform plans. 신세민, Arirang News.
Consumption in Korea hit a 5-year low in September. According to Statistics Korea, monthly consumption in September dropped by 4.5% from the month before. That's the biggest month-on-month drop since February of 2011. Consumption dropped in a wide range of categories, including non-durables such as food and clothing, but the durable goods category in particular dropped by 6.1%, reflecting the shock in the electronic devices market after the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 recall. Industrial production for September also fell by 0.8% from the month before, marking the first negative growth in 5 months. The mining and manufacturing sectors increased production by 0.3% in September, but were dragged back down by contractions in the construction and service sectors, which were hit particularly hard by logistical difficulties caused by the bankruptcy of Hanjin Shipping. That does it for now. I'll be back with more headlines at 4 p.m. Korea time. Stay with us.